Tonight, a world-class marathon-length mountain bike trail under construction in the Flinders Ranges, set to boost nature-based and Aboriginal cultural tourism. And 'tis the season to swim with giant cuttlefish. Whyalla's underwater drawcard springs to life.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. The southern Flinders region is taking tourism seriously and making the most of its spectacular views and landscapes. With 2 major projects currently on the go, a multi-day hiking experience and an epic $1.8 million mountain bike trail covering 42 kilometres.
Breathtaking scenery right on our doorstep. The southern Flinders Ranges is well and truly on the road to recovery in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, with multiple exciting projects underway.
Together we're spending $10 million to really make this an incredible place for tourists to come who enjoy nature and want to be out experiencing nature and also understanding more about the Aboriginal cultural heritage in this area.
The 42-kilometre mountain bike trail will offer a unique and adrenaline-filled experience for locals and visitors and will wind its way through some amazing views and landscapes.
International accreditation as a mountain bike trail is an epic experience. So people who are really into mountain biking know that that's where they want to come. Apparently having a descent trail where you can see the sea is really rare. So we're going to have this incredible special offering for people to come to this area and see how beautiful it is here.
Deputy Premier Susan Close says the construction of any trail is done with consideration to both the environment and Aboriginal culture. The marathon-length bike trail is no exception.
Very sensitive to the environment and very sensitive to Aboriginal cultural heritage. We've gone through a process of ensuring that we are avoiding any areas that are particularly sensitive to the Nukunu.
The gorgeous walk trail will offer a multi-day hiking experience, and new campsites will be built along the trail and shorter day walk options will be created along existing trails. South Australia's national parks are home to some of the most picturesque landscapes in the world, and it's important to provide experiences that encourage people to explore them. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Cuttlefish season serves as a timely reminder to Whyalla locals just how unique our part of the world really is. And this year is no different, with tourists turning up in droves, businesses booming, all in town to witness the city's mystical underwater world.
Sliding into wetsuits to see something out of this world. Tour operators from experiencing marine sanctuaries have returned to the shores of Point Lowly this week to guide tourists through the domain of Australia's giant cuttlefish.
Usually for the dive industry this is a really quiet time of year being winter, so yeah, for cuttlefish to come through the winter months it's just it's a really big busy patch for the whole dive industry around this local area.
Despite the bone-chilling water, tourists from near and far have come for the swim, like this couple from Canberra.
I'm not normally a person that would jump in this cold water, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Well worth it.
I'd say give it a shot. We've got kids who are 5 to people who are 85 coming in and doing this experience. It's super facilitated and available to everybody, as accessible as we can make it.
Experiencing Marine Sanctuaries is a non-for-profit group that runs heavily subsidised snorkel tours to expose more of the general public to marine life and conservation efforts.
The great Australian cuttlefish they're actually looking at today are endemic to this area. They're not found anywhere else in the world. They're an extremely unique species and we're really lucky to have them around here so close to home.
These are really warm wetsuits.
Yes, they are.
And these guys did a super job of equipping us and telling us what to do.
Due to the popularity of the dive, EMS has already had to release additional sessions and 2 extra days of tours. This year, the guides have also partnered with the Whyalla Council to host various events in the city's Cuttlefest calendar.
They can come through on our website. They can either buy a ticket to go for a snorkel or buy a ticket for our cuttlefish in the pub night on the 15th of July. It's a nice night, it's just a pub meal and a few guest speakers.
Organisers say the huge influx of tourists is great for both seasonal tour operators like themselves and the city's small businesses and hospitality venues.
It's really important to get people in the water this time of year and get them seeing what's in their local area. This happens nowhere else in the world.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Some of the York and Northern local health networks' unsung heroes have been recognised at the inaugural Excellence Awards. Presented across 8 categories, Georgia Mills took out the Rising Star Award for her contributions to midwifery, while the community mental health teams, Aboriginal Health Southern Team and the Rehabilitation Project all went home with awards as well. CEO Roger Kirchner said it was a night to celebrate and acknowledge the array of skilled, innovative, dedicated and talented staff that make up the workforce. Still to come tonight, SAPOL will catch up with 2 alleged speedsters doing the wrong thing on our roads. And more money, more art. Grant applications now open for budding and experienced artists in Broken Hill. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. Officers patrolling the Lincoln Highway in the Eyre Peninsula hit the jackpot in a bad way on Saturday, allegedly coming across 2 people doing the wrong thing behind the wheel. SAPOL first detected a car going 146 kilometres an hour in a 110 zone. The 17-year-old driver from Whyalla Stewart was issued with a $4,000 fine and lost his licence for 6 months. 2 hours later, at 4 p.m, officers pulled over another car, allegedly going 24 k's above the speed limit at Middleback Ranges. The 52-year-old driver complied with a roadside blood alcohol test, which allegedly came back positive, more than 4 times the legal limit. He'll appear in court at a later date and has had his expired provisional licence disqualified for a year. The Regional Arts Fund has today opened applications for project grants to regional artists. The grants can help bring to life high-quality art projects by artists and organisations from different walks of life.
Calling all regional artists? Is there a project that has you inspired, but you don't have the money to commission it? Well, you're in luck, because the Regional Arts Fund has you covered, with project grants up to $30,000.
Yeah, no, it's open to artists and arts organisations, and even organisations that aren't particularly arts organisations but want to do an art-based project.
It's not just painters and sculptors who can apply for grants. Musicians and performers are welcome to as well.
And it can be any sort of art form as well. So it doesn't have to be visual arts. It could be music, it could be performance, any of those.
There's a couple of things to consider when applying for the grants. If you have a good idea and can sell it, then you could be getting funded. But selling the idea isn't the only thing you need to do.
Not even necessarily the art form, it's how good the idea is, how much it will benefit the community as well is another important thing.
So now is the perfect time to get your thinking caps on.
Yeah, like I say, you just need to have that good idea.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Brekkie with a smile. Broken Hill's How's Your Mate event encouraging us all to check in with our friends. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. Lifeline Broken Hill's annual How's Your Mate round returned at the weekend, starting off with breakfast and a Q&A with Alex Woodward at the Demo Club before moving over to Jubilee Oval. The day is a reminder to go beyond just asking if your mate is okay.
Alex Woodward has been through a lot in his 29 years. The former top flight footy player experiencing firsthand the highest of highs and the lowest of lows.
Unfortunately suffered 5 knee reconstructions among other adversities, and maybe shed a bit of light in terms of careers and life not going to plan, so to speak.
It wasn't the first time the former Hawk had been to this part of the state. Earlier this year, he was working on Lifeline ambassador Brendan Cullen's station. When Cullen told him what the round was about, he did some research.
I understand that there's been some past tragedies, so to speak, and I know that this is the 6th year now that they're running this, so for me it's a real privilege to be here and something that I'm really proud to be a part of.
Woodward also hopes the How's Your Mate program sparks conversations around mental health and wants to see everyone go that extra mile to make sure their friends or loved ones are more than just okay.
The more that we can put a highlight on mental health and making sure that we're consistently checking in on those around us, the more we can prevent suicide and depression and that sort of stuff.
Lifeline CEO Colin Seary was also in town for the event, acknowledging just how crucial his company's services are to people in regional areas.
Again, the role, the people, Lifeline on the ground here in Broken Hill is critically important, and we look forward to, expanding those services moving forward.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Over the weekend, most football leagues entered round 10 of the season. And as we head towards the finish line, top teams are starting to topple, proving to their competitors they're not undefeatable after all.
Here in Port Pirie, we witnessed it all. There were some serious upsets, close matches and complete thrashings. In Port Pirie, there were some serious upsets, with the Lions, who were undefeated until 2 weekends ago, experiencing their second loss over the weekend to South Augusta. However, they are still on top of the ladder. The best players for South were Karen McKenzie, Billy Joe Russell, Cameron Tigerman, Kristen Thompson and James Weir. Lions, they were Sean Edwards, Joel Palmer, Ben Harmer, Evan Smith and Tyler Eckert. Central and Port battled it out, but in the end Port came out with the win by 21 points. The first 2 matches were fairly close, but there was a complete thrashing in the Sollies and West Augusta game. Sollies dominating and the final score being 170-25. Over in Whyalla, there were some very confident wins. The closest competition was between Rapina and West Whyalla, the final score being 69-64. WEEROONA Bay dominated throughout the match against North Whyalla, taking the win by 46 points, more than double their score. The largest thrashing was between South Whyalla and Central, which is to be expected when the top team takes on the bottom of the ladder. South won by a huge 137 points and only allowed South to score once. In Port Lincoln, there was no close matches, with one team dominating in every match. South took on Boston and won 109-54. Over at Mallee Park, the top dogs Marble Range took on Mallee Park and proved why they're on top of the ladder, winning 142-54. The Roosters were strong from the very beginning against Wayback and won by a huge 101 points. In Broken Hill, the teams entered round 8, and there were some huge wins. At Jubilee Oval, North took on Central and won 110-53. Top team South took on bottom team West, and the ending score represented it, with South winning 133-15. Stay tuned for tomorrow night, where we look at other sports which took place over the weekend.
Annabelle Francis reporting there. Stay with us after the break. We'll have the weather details with Alex Sykes. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Gulf News. It's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, Port Pirie was particularly cold this morning.
It certainly was cool in the early hours of this morning, Maddie. At 1 a.m, the official reading was 1.7 degrees, but it felt more like -3.5. No doubt a few of our viewers grabbed an extra blanket or switched on the electric blanket. Port Pirie warmed up to 16 degrees, but the apparent temperature did not budge above double digits. Morning fog in Broken Hill reaching 12 degrees, 13 the top in Cooper Pedy. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, 15 was the top in Port Augusta, Wudinna and Port Lincoln, 14 in Whyalla, just 12 degrees in Kadina. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high-pressure system centred south of Kangaroo Island will move southeastwards to be centred over the Tasman Sea on Wednesday, but will continue to extend a ridge over South Australia. A weak cold front will move over the south of the state late Wednesday and early Thursday. Then another high will develop to the south of the Bight later on Thursday. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. East to southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots. Seas will be below 1 metre, and south to southwesterly swell between 1.5 metres. Taking a look at tomorrow's temperatures now, frost is forecast for Tuesday morning, mainly over northern parts of the mid-north region. Port Lincoln will be partly cloudy between 9 and 15 degrees there. 14 degrees on the way for Cleve and mostly sunny and 16 in Wudinna. Cloud clearing over Whyalla and Port Augusta tomorrow between 14 and 17 degrees respectively. Partly cloudy in Wudinna between 4 and 15 degrees. Down to 3 degrees in Port Pirie, 17 tomorrow. Clare partly cloudy, set to reach a top of 12 degrees there. Cloud clearing around Broken Hill between 2 and 13 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, some sunshine is forecast for Wednesday. That'd be if you're in Cooper Pedy, Port Augusta, Broken Hill or Port Pirie. Partly cloudy around the rest of the region, temps in the mid-teens. Moving on to Thursday's outlook now, possible showers to the south of our weather map, 16 in Port Lincoln, 15 degrees in the capital. Wudinna, the warmest centre on our map, tipped to reach 17 degrees. Friday's looking mostly fine at this stage, except for in Port Lincoln. There's a 95% chance of showers heading for a top of 16 degrees. And finally, Maddie, a reminder from the Weather Bureau that temperatures at ground level can be many degrees lower than those recorded by standard weather stations, especially in calm conditions with clear skies. Something to be mindful of in the coming days. But that's all from me for tonight. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Monday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.